but I'll just try to do my best. But family and consulting and coaching is presenting life, and the goal of presenting this program every third Saturday of the month is to provide in this space. The hope is to be able to provide some awareness and support and to be able to give back to the community some awareness of everyday struggles, or how do we become resilient in as we adjusting to different things that is happening around the world, different relationship, and face a lot of things that unexpected. Today, last month, I had the privilege and honor to present PJ Queen. This month, I have the privilege and honor to present someone who has become more than a friend to me in this journal. She has been a great mentor, coach, and it's such a privilege and humble opportunity to have her here today. She is Elba Colón. Elba is a great entrepreneur. So she has helped hundreds of women find their niche, understand their potential, and defeat that imposter syndrome that many of us struggle with, especially in the Latino culture, because we were not meant to do these things, like, or because of everything that we have faced because of childhood experiences, parenting, intergenerational behaviors, and all these things. Elba is, she'll probably share a little bit more about her. She is the founder of Awakening, guys. If you guys don't know Elba, please take the opportunity to follow her and reach out. She's always open to support, but she is the founder of Awakening. She also supports different organizations and company in understanding how to manage different things. But today, she's going to be bringing a word of resilience, strengthening, and self love and care. So the stage is all yours, Elba. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and for being here with us today.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Priscilla. I'm privileged and honored to be on your platform too. And I think what's even more powerful is that, are you able to hear me? Are you okay? What's powerful is how we are Latinas, and in addition to that, we're Puerto Rican. So it's like I feel like this neat, um, special relationship because it's like what you said. We weren't built to or told to be entrepreneurs or coaches or anything like that. I know in my background, I was meant to go to church, go to school, be a wife, clean the house, wash the clothes, make arroz con gandule, and invite everybody over to the house, which is okay. Like that's part of my heritage. But somewhere along the line, I realized, even though I was born and raised here in the United States, I was an army brat, which meant I traveled throughout the world. By the time I graduated from high school, I had gone to 5 high schools and graduated from Germany. But my culture was deeply, deeply ingrained in me. I was actually first generation. My family came into the United States they started migrating in the 40s, late 40s, and my grandmother, my mother's mother family, they migrated late 60s. So I'm first generation. So they were deeply, like, they're so deep my culture that when I went to Puerto Rico for the first time back in 2018, it looked very familiar, and it gave me a lot of answers to my questions to why did my house look like a certain way? Why did I act a certain way? Why did I do certain things? And it was because the culture was really embedded in me. And I'm going to get there to culture because there's another thing I discover about our culture and the Latino community in this experience that it embedded in me. So when I saw that in Puerto Rico, I thought, oh, wait a minute, I'm normal. Like, I'm not weird. I'm not different. I am not foreign. I am none of that because being an army brat, I was out of the Puerto Rican family. Now, when I went to New York City, I was surrounded by a lot of other Latino, mostly Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and so I felt normal. But when I stepped out of there and went to the bases, army military bases, I did not felt normal. I was around a lot of Caucasian or blacks and whites and I just felt didn't connect real well. And so I just felt like an oddball. But when I went to Puerto Rico, it answered a lot of questions to who I am. And that was actually the first time when I was in the island of Puerto Rico, I felt love in my heart. I was at the San Juan Beach, and all the pain and suffering that I had suffered being different was healed at the moment because what I realized that Puerto Rico is my home. Even though I didn't grow up there, even though it was the first time, but Puerto Rico was right here. My grandmother, everybody that passed, my grandmother, my father, my grandfather, my uncles, my aunt, everybody was right here. And that right there, I felt love in my heart. You know, we believe they taught us in religion that when our family died, they go to heaven. Okay, that they're in heaven. Okay, but there's a sense of separation that leave us grieving and sad and depressed. But when people can realize and feel the love, they're right here. The love never separates. And that right there is resilience. This is where we can come back from grief. This is when we can come back from sadness. Depression is to remember. See, we forget, but if we remember, bring all the members of all the parts of ourselves, collect them, reclaim our power, bring them back here into our hearts, into space, that's when we become whole. That's when we become love and that's when we become loved. So there's love and then there's loved. And when we're loved by our own love, that's where the real strength comes in. This is where we can come back. That's what resilience is to come back. One more thing about our culture. So my background is emotion. So I'm a life coach. Today I consider myself a master spiritual life coach, transformational coach. When I was in my trainings, I was in trainings for like 3 years. I served, I served hundreds. Maybe I made my first thousand. I did. I coaching groups. Yeah, I made my first thousand already in these emotional intelligence trainings, both in English and Spanish. Went to Mexico and I coach people there. I mentor people there, leaders. Well, here in Columbus, Ohio, you can see I have my Ohio State sweater. The Latino, I started with this lady, an emotional intelligence training here, and there was different people from different country, Venezuela, Mexico. We had one Puerto Rican, we had Santo Dominicans, so we had a variety, and there was this one Puerto Rican. And in this exercise, it's called the catharsis. And I don't know if you know what catharsis is. We had a catharsis, which is where you like scream, like, oh, that's all we do. We just scream. So the trainer puts the loud music. We're laying on the ground, and the trainer says, okay, all the pain, all the suffering, all the drama, call it out, call it out, call it out. And so everybody was on the ground in the dark with the music loud, and they started to scream, oh! And the Puerto Rican that was there, she was screaming the same things I was screaming when I had my training years ago. She was saying the exact same thing. And it was at that moment I realized not only the love is the same, our culture is the same, but the trauma is the same. exact same. And I realized, wait a minute, this is not an individual thing. This is a cultural thing. And realized from that space, not only was I angry, I was angry at myself, angry at my family, not even angry anymore at my mother and father anymore. I was now married at society to make us believe that something is to be true when it's not. And when I realized that, the only way to go through that awareness that I had made about culture was through compassion. Compassion for everyone, for all my fellow Latino, that this is not your fault. You are not broken. Our culture is broken. Our society is broken, but we are not broken. So yeah, I know that was a lot, Priscilla. Can you hear me, Priscilla? Oh, okay, I'm complete.
So can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I can
Awesome.
hear your dog
So yes,
barking.
no, thank you. You did share great. Like I hear you say compassion. You spoke about self-love. One of the things that I want to ask you, Elba, and thank you so much for sharing a little blurb of what brings, like how certain things in life modify and makes us who we are and how it influence on our behaviors, on the way we parent, the way we treat others, but most of all, how we treat ourselves. Especially because one thing that you said that I resonated with a lot was that you say it's not our fault, right? And part when I became so part of family consulting and coaching is started. The first name was Hope in the Service, and my goal in that moment was to provide a hope, a sense. I remember I used to go and feed, and please excuse my dog as you hear them bark. Um, but my goal in that moment was to provide food to the homeless. And I remember we would do every third Saturday of the month to feed the homeless. And I would take my children, my now adult children. And part for me, it was like always believed in opportunities. I always believed in the unknown. I never hide and always like to share that I am a product of a village, right? I come from a dysfunctional family where strong religious beliefs were granted from my father, and my mother also like she had have two sisters with intellectual disability. So I went through a lot. So thanks to the village, I was able to develop and become resilient and develop the strength. And people were holding my hand. So my question to you is, for those who are watching us today, don't have faith, don't or feel lost or feel like, well, Priscilla, how did you found that village? And even like speaking with you that you're part of my village, and I'm so grateful for you. But what would you tell people? What do you recommend? How do we find how that potential, that strength? Can you share a little bit of that?
Yeah, of course. A lot of it, initially, my life, started with church like you. So a lot of it had to do with faith. Really got to trust your process. Whatever source that is to whoever's watching, whoever that source is to you, use your faith to guide you and light and lead you and guide you and stay connected with that faith because it's there for you. It's there for you. Now, faith did a whole lot for me, but it only takes you so far because faith is there to lead you and guide you. It's there. However, you need the light to see where is it you're going so that you have a foresight of where you're going. And really the transformation slowly started even before my emotional intelligence training started. was gratitude journaling. This is so I'm the founder of Awaken the Gratitude, founded in 2018. But 2010, I started gratitude journaling because nothing, not hope, no faith, no nothing was saving me from my own self, of my own depression to the point that I wanted to take my own life away many, many, many times over. But when I think about my family, I always like, oh no, not this time, not this time, because I desperately wanted to succeed. I desperately wanted to show up in life, but this depression just came over me. It came like in cycles. I never been to a doctor to get diagnosed, but I became so sensitive to the depression. Like I became so aware of the depression. I knew in my body when it was on me and when it was away, because it came in cycles. So one time I was praying in the bathroom. I was feeling good, but I could see from a distance that the depression was going to come here anytime soon. So I prayed and I was like, Lord, why now? Because why? I'm just finally becoming happy. Why does it have to come? So I saw a movie called Eat, Pray, Love, and in that movie was a woman. She was played by Julia Roberts. And when I saw that movie, I'm like, that woman is me. And I know that a lot of women love that movie because they see themselves in that movie, in the character that Julia Roberts played. And I did some research. I saw a group of women talking about the movie, and one woman said, "Well, I started doing the gratitude journaling." So I thought, well, let me do that. And so anybody that's listening could say, "Oh, but I do that every day." I'm going to tell you, if you're not feeling great and you're still doing it, you're doing it wrong. You're doing your gratitude journaling wrong, because it's gratitude journaling that put me on the path to get me back to my heart centered space. And when I went back to my heart centered space, where I found my genuine, authentic, my love, my own self love, myself as the source of love, that's when I became whole and complete. Whole and complete, lacking no thing. Nothing is ever missing. The illusion is that circumstances make us believe we're missing something. But when you have your breath, you have everything. Nada no te faltará, como dice la Biblia. The Bible said, the Lord is my shepherd. Well, guess what? My breath is my shepherd. If I breathe, and without breath, we're dead. We're dead, right? You don't exist. Your very existence. Well, anyway, going back to the story, is for anyone that's watching this, go in there and write down what are you grateful for. Don't just write down what, but why. And what I want to challenge people who's watching this, don't just write all the blessings. That's another thing. People just write down all the blessings. Oh, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my home. And you want to, but guess what? Be grateful for the challenges. See, we're taught in church and religion that everything is of the devil. And we give too much credit to the devil. Way too much credit. What if God gave you the challenge because you wanted to grow? What if God gave you the challenge? What if you've been saying, I want to grow, I want to succeed, I want to be a leader, I want to do this? Well, you can't be the same person if you want to be those things. You got to be someone different. You got to build your resilience, you got to build your courage, you got to build your leadership, your influence. You got to build that. And so the way you build that is take all the challenges you have. If you got a lot of bills, write them. I'm grateful I got to pay my mortgage, even though you're struggling. But guess what? Money is coming to you through your efforts of showing up to work every single day to get that check so you could pay your mortgage. And because you're able to pay, you have a home. So be grateful for that, because life will give you more to being grateful for. So start writing the challenges in your life and be grateful for them, and find the treasures that are hidden in the challenge. And in those challenges that you find of value, you're going to find more about yourself, who you really are. And so that's how I suggest anybody write your gratitude journaling, not only the blessing. If you're going to write 5 blessings down, then write down 5 challenges. If you're going to write 3 blessings, then write 3 challenges and write down why. Why? ¿Para qué? Why? And you'll be surprised what people will find.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Ken. So one of the things that you mentioned was emotional intelligence, right? And so I have
Mhm.
2 questions that I would like you to share with us. Like, you share emotional intelligence. How do we develop emotional intelligence? And as a therapist and in my and work and consultant and in some of the things that I have experienced is have so much potential. And they have it. What I've noticed is they have it like hidden because they are afraid. It's like we were conditioned to not develop these potential. And like it was like, so even from my own experience, one of the things that I had to learn is like the way my brain works and how to develop that emotional intelligence. But it took me a while for me to do. I remember gratitude journaling. By the way, I would like you to share a little bit more about how that works and open the space for people to also be able to take advantage of an opportunity, because I know you have only one gratitude journaling thing going on, and it's been great. And I think it's one of the things that I enjoyed about it was waking up every day and thinking about some of the things that you share and being able to go through those prompts and be able to meditate and think about the things that I was grateful for instead of thinking about all the challenges that we're facing or my worries. But it took me some time. How do people know when it's actually working?
Yeah. Well, guess what? Great question. Emotional intelligence, like what that is. ¿Qué es eso? That's not a word in the Puerto Rican language. ¿Qué es? Anytime what's interesting is the Puerto Ricans, when if we were to cry, like I don't know how they do it today, but because our this generations is a lot smarter than my generation, Gen X. But if we would cry, they would tell us, ¿para qué estás llorando? ¿Estás llorando? You're crying? Oh, I'll give you something to cry for. Boom. And so we hold those emotions, right? To prevent from getting spanking. Or like if we're like, Mom, I need to do this. I need to go to college and I need to have that. Ow, what are you talking about? Those things are crazy. Like any emotions we had, they make us believe we're crazy to feel them. So of course, people in general, especially the Latino community, don't know what emotional intelligence is, because we were allowed to feel our emotions. So now that we're an adult and we're living in a conscious society right now, in 2020, when we had the pandemic, there was a global awakening where people started to realize a lot of things because their life was forced to change. And in that force, they were knocked out and realized, oh, snap, I've been married this long and I'm unhappy. Oh, snap. I weigh 200 pounds. Where did I gain this weight? Oh, snap. My son is 15 years old. He was just 5 years old. There was this awakening. And in that awakening, there's a lot of emotions coming up. And it's like, I feel this in my body. I feel this, but I don't have the words to express what is it that I'm feeling. I know it's not a good feeling. I know this is a good feeling, but what is that good feeling? What is this bad feeling? It's bad. And so people don't have the verbiage to put a name on the emotions that they're feeling. And so that's what emotional intelligence is, to know what is it you're experiencing. Now, what happened is our emotions come from our belief systems that make us believe certain way, like our mindset. Our mindset is built on belief systems. And so these belief systems will influence our body and influence to feel a certain way. And so you can look at a situation and feel bad about it. But if you change the belief, you could change the situation, meaning you could change the perspective of the situation, how you view the situation. So going back to your question, like emotional intelligence, now that people have some kind of understanding of what emotional intelligence is how do you become aware of it? And you gave a lot of pointers of what to do, and one of them is meditating. You know, my course is gratitude journey meditation because we're in there meditating what we're writing with intention and meditating, and you can just you don't have to sit there with your eyes closed. The way I started practicing is becoming aware of the situation that I was in. The person has to become the observer of the life. That's the first step, is to become the observer of your life and not get stuck in the situation or the story of the situation. So I remember initially when I started to practice this way back, like 2010, I would just stop, pause, and I would just literally look around and see what's happening. And I would imagine myself, if I say this, this is what's going to happen. But if I say this, this is what's going to happen. If I say this, I say this will happen. Let me see. And I used to test myself out. Okay, I know if I say this, this is what's going to happen because it was habitual. So whatever, when the person's learning to become emotional intelligence, stop, pause, and breathe, and think, what is it? How are you going to react? And choose a different response. Don't react. Respond. Respond differently. And what I invite people to do is to respond with kindness. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody. Even if they treat you like crap, nobody owes you nothing. Because anybody owes you anything, they got power over you. But when you own everything that you chose to be in, that's when you become powerful. That's when we become powerful. This is how we reclaim our power. Even though it's a shitty situation, but you say, you know what? I chose that. Eso fue yo. I made that decision. And when somebody comes back to you and harass you and bully you and say something like, "Oh, remember you did this, you did that," you can always say, "Yeah, of course, I decided that, and I learned, and I this." And nobody will bother you ever again for that situation.
Wow, that's very powerful. And it's I was like, for me it was like a refresher. As I hear you speaking, it was a refresher. Now, Elba, how can people connect with you, or any words of advice? But I really would like you to share a little bit about you and what you're doing, and how did you, because I know you're passionate about what you're doing and you're doing such a great job. I want everybody to hear what you're doing and how to connect with you, um, if they need help to also empower that person and develop their potential and defeating that imposter syndrome and understanding to find their niche, their worthy. I remember when I shared with you how much I charge an hour, you were like, "What? Do you know?" And one of the things that I remember was like, every time you stand in the place, Priscilla, you share this and you plant this seed. Therefore, that is priceless. And now, one of the things that you also share was people buy $30 meals, or they will buy like $500 purses, and what you're providing, it's something that they can use lifelong. Versus the meal, it's temporary. Well, not just temporary, it's healthy, but it's like depending on what kind of meal. But the purse is also like temporary. And that for me was amazing. And it was so impacting. That's why I love you so much. um, and I would like you to share, how can people, what are you doing now? I'm sure, like you said, everything you become is because of things that you've gone through and wanting to give back. Can you share a little bit of what you do and how can people connect with you? Also, I
Yeah.
guess it's fair to say, if people have any questions or anything, please put it on the chat box, and I can share them, or I don't know if Elba can see them, but I'm happy to share them. But please, any questions, put up for Elba, put them in the um, chat box, and also I will be sharing her information so you guys can connect with her as well.
Yes, so thank you for that, Priscilla. I do remember having that conversation with you. And ever since then, since that conversation, you have blossomed incredibly. I love anybody I mentor, coach, that's like the joy. It's like being that's a joy for me to watch people blossom because that's the whole intent. It's like I want to see you grow. That's the greatest joy. It's like a mother's love. I want to see you succeed. And so because of that, a lot of the women will call me, you're like my godmother. And and so I call myself La Madrina. And so there's two places they can find me. Women can find me who wants to start a business. They want to find their purpose. They want to overcome imposter syndrome. I work with women, and generally they're in position of leadership, entrepreneurs. They're ready to they're especially women who are disconnected, imposter syndrome, burnout, they are suffering because they're disconnected. And so my job is to bring them back to their heart center space. And in there, they'll find all the answers that they're looking for. They'll find the peace and joy and freedom that women want. And so a lot of women in leadership suffer imposter syndrome because they achieved a lot of things in life. However, they all did it for the wrong reasons. And then along the way, they realize, wait a minute, I'm totally disconnected. I'm unhappy. I'm sick. I'm burnt out. And I'm now lost. This doesn't have any meaning to me anymore. How can how can I still achieve and be successful, but not burn out and and show up genuinely and authentically? And so I lead women, guide women right back to their heart center space where they can and still go back to their heart space without giving up their values, which is to achieve. And it's okay, a woman can achieve, but this time do it with joy because they're doing it from their authentic space, showing up who they are. So women can find me in it's www.inspiredbyelba.com. And then if there's any uh, organization or business, a nonprofit organization watching this, and they want me to bring gratitude into their space because there's a lot of benefits to that, they can go to www.awakenthegratitude.com. Awakenthegratitude.com. And then for the women, it's inspiredbyelba.com. And so in those two spaces, yeah. So depending if you're an organization, go to Awaken Gratitude. If you're a woman, go to inspired by Elba.com. I have a membership in there, and in that membership, the women come together collectively. And when we come together collectively as a sacred women's circle, because in there's a sacred women's circle, our membership, when the women come together collectively, the medicine shows up and the women heal and transform together. Because my vision is to create a gratitude ripple effect movement. And that's why women leadership and entrepreneurs is important to me because it's their influence that will create this massive wave of gratitude ripple effect that will heal and transform our planet.
Thank you so much. And I know we have about 20 minutes left, and I want you, as you were speaking about the ripple effect and your membership, and I think I want to take this opportunity and talk a little bit about it, and also share a little bit of some of the conversations we had that added so much value of who I am today. I have to be very honest. I spoke to the co-founder of Family Consulting and Coaching, with my partner, in with my business partner, Chris Chambers. And one of the things that I said is like, you have to meet Elba. Elba is amazing. I think that Elba has added so much to me because I remember, and I've heard before, Priscilla, it's not you, it's what they did to you. But one of the things that in speaking with you is that you have we spoke a little bit about the village, right? Because I remember when I came to you, I was like, I feel like I don't have the right support. I feel like I support everybody and nobody's supporting me. And I don't think, I've seen people doing X, Y, and Z, but they don't include me. And I don't know how to manage that or navigate that. It's probably, and at this point, it was making me wonder, like, I'm just not ready. And you spoke to me about the village and creating a village of people, like you said, that we could create that ripple effect, that we can connect, that we can add on to each other and feel supported. Can you share a little bit about that? Because you could probably say it better than I could, and you have it. It's so empowering.
Yes,
What is the village,
definitely.
and how do we identify whether our village is for us or not for us?
Yeah, definitely. I totally understand. One of the things, the first thing is we got to know who we are and who and what are our values. So when people say I want to be with individuals who are like-minded, that's true. You want to be with people with like-minded. But if folks are struggling to say, well, how do I know if we're like-minded? Well, what kind of values are you guys sharing? That's how you know. Also, people who are successful are not jealous people because they know how to earn their own success. And successful people understand that kindness and gratitude is what makes the world a better place. Like successful, people who are not quote unquote rich or wealthy, they look at those people like they're stuck up. No, they're not stuck up. It seems like they're stuck up because they are up there, like they're up there. But seems up there is their what seems up there is their mindset. So their mindset makes people uncomfortable. I know that. I just came from Miami a couple of weeks ago. I was in a league with elite entrepreneurs who make millions of dollars. But because and I felt quote unquote imposter syndrome because I'm like, what am I doing in this group of people? And because of my awareness of my thoughts I was having and knowing my values from discipline over the years, I realized no, 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 no. I belong there. If I did not belong, the only reason I'm there is because my mindset has increased and they became the mirror of my mindset. So I knew I was in the right place. So when people are out there building a village, check with your values first and then check their values and see if there's a connection. And also, and you always want to be in places where you want to be. You know how this is kind of funny, well, just be at places where you want to be at, where successful people hang out at. How did they dress? What did they look like? What do you want? How do you see yourself? Like, however way you see yourself in the future, that be your future self now. You know how they say your future self will thank you? Well, be your future self now. Even though you're not there, the situation is not there, you might not have the car or whatever. Be like that. Like, act like that. Because eventually you will attract that into the life. So that's one. Two is networking. So if anybody's struggling with the word village, another word for village is network. So I have a large network and I have multiple networks. So right now I'm in this networking group called Connected Networking Group based out of Columbus, Ohio. We have at least 15,000 members. In Ohio alone, Columbus, Central Ohio, we have 20 chapters and I'm one of 20. I'm the chapter over a suburban area called Hilliard. So I'm the chapter leader and we meet twice a month. And so I'm part of that networking group. So, matter of fact, what I invite you to do is if you can put down on your chat, um, uh, pardon, Priscilla, put this website. If people here want to build their network, take this course, fill out this scholarship. You will be surprised what you could get out of this scholarship. It's Bitly, B is a boy, T is a Tom, dot ly / the word connected in caps. C is in Charlie. ONN as in Nancy. EC is in Charlie. T is for Tom. ED. That's in caps. Underscore, not dash, underscore. Then Hilliard, capital H, and then lowercase, all the letters. ILLIAR, so Robert. D as in David. Hilliard. You go in there, the class starts on Monday, fill out the application for the scholarship, and start Monday, every Monday for 12 weeks. And that right there will teach you to build your network. Because when you can build your network, you build your net worth. Because even though I'm talking from my phone, I have over at least 500 names in there. Do you know the value of those names is at least $2 million? $2 million. I'm can't. So people think yo no tengo chavo. No, you have chavo. It's in your phone. $2 million. That's the value of my net worth. What does that does for me? It gives me credibility, gives me influence, it builds my brand. People know who I am, and if people need some kind of help for something, they know to look at me. So if there's a business owner and person in leadership, they want to grow their network exponentially, you reach a plateau or you want to start building one, take this class because that's what I did 3 years ago.
I
Ever
think
since then, I've grown big. Uh huh.
Thank you so much. I think I wrote it wrong. Do you mind spelling it again for me? You say,
Sure. Is B is in boy, or do you want me to type it on the
sure,
text?
please.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. BIT.
This has been amazing, Elba. You spoke about credibility. You giving us a great resource. So thank you so much for that. For like you said, for people who are starting or have their own business going on, this is a good way to for them to continue connecting and get some feedback and like sometimes even confirmation, because I know in my space I've had to find my niche in other things that I can possibly do. I have to still find what I'm passionate about and how do I evolve from there. But I also have had to have conversations with my network in my village to make sure that what I'm doing it goes in alignment with what I really want, but also that I'm doing it right. Because sometimes, and if you don't mind, briefly speaking a little bit about those biases that sometimes we have, that sometimes keep us from wanting to consult, from wanting to network, and it's because one of the things that I have found is people who have fixated business mindset. And how do we stay away from people who don't add and identify that sometimes having a reflective consultation or conversation doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means how do we identify when they're saying something negative versus okay, constructive criticism. How do we identify the constructive criticism versus those negative information that sometimes set us back?
So are you referring um like between a a coach to a client to a mentor mentee, friend to friend? What do you
Yeah,
mean by
well,
that?
actually, more like networking because sometimes, yeah, more like networking because sometimes there's people that have like business fixated mindset and they're not really speaking more like identifying what you're doing, what's working for you, but it's more because they have this bias of why you need to do things right. And when we're thinking about diversity, equality, and inclusion, it's fair to say that everybody process and work different, and we can all be great in the way we work, right? And what worked for somebody may not work for me, but sometimes that can be um, shared in a way that can make us feel uncomfortable. How do we identify those communication and not allow them to bring us down or make us feel defeated, um, and
Yeah.
know that we can still grow, and that's not.
Yeah, and so with that, so I understand what you're asking for. I guess what I'm needing to know, what's the environment like in an organization? In an organization, is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think it could be overall.
Okay. Well, overall, in general, I mean, we I would just suggest to be curious why people have certain mindset. Like what makes people believe that, you know? And because once you become curious, there's a sense of understanding, and then there's a sense of understanding, and you can have compassion for that person because it takes work to change your mindset. So there's nothing that's going to be done, even if you get construction criticism, criticism, they're not going to change if they're not open to receive. So being curious helps to understand them and then be compassion. Now that you understand them and you're compassion for them, now you set your own boundaries. You set your own boundaries to not let them cross that. So if they're making a statement or comment that's projecting on you, that's when you have the right to say, stop, pause, and listen. And say, you might feel that way, but I don't feel that way. That's like people in church. For example, we'll have conversation about religion, and it'll be all Christian people, but it'll be Christian people from Apostolic, Baptism, Methodist, Catholic. And so I'm not into religion anymore like I used to. I practice my own faith because I got into a point with religion where people say, this person is the truth. And I'll say something like, that's a truth, and that might be your truth, but it's not the truth. And it makes people angry because they're trying to force me something that they believe. And I'll say, it is your truth, and that truth is the truth for you, but it's not for me. And they can't see it. And so I remember one conversation I had. I said, if we're going to go by religion, my background's apostolic, and in my doctrine, all of you would go to hell. And we all believe the same person, Jesus. But according to my doctrine, which I believe is the truth, y'all will go to hell. And I said, so who's telling the truth? Because Catholic says to do this, Baptist says to do this, Pentecost says this, Apostolic, but we all believe the same person. But who's telling the truth? So that's why I said when you're having a conversation, that was I was using religion as an example. But in a general conversation, be curious, understand, be compassionate, and then set your boundaries and do not let them cross them. Be courageous, be bold, and protect yourself and set your boundaries.
Thank you so much. You said it. Be bold, be courageous. I'm gonna add, and be kind, right? And add know your worth, and understand. Like I think that it's helpful for everybody to understand that it's okay to be us, be you, and be authentic, um, and know that we here for a reason. Um, I know you spoke briefly, and we got 4 more minutes, so I'm gonna wrap up. But Elba, I just want to say how grateful I am for you being here, and I think that I want to make another Saturday where we could speak a little bit about religious trauma. And I just got my certification maybe 2 months ago about religious trauma as a religious trauma certified, and like you said, Catholics, Pentecostal, Jehovah Witness, all like they all baptism, they all have different beliefs, but they all believe in the same God, which right. And when one of the things that I learned in my religious trauma training was paganism, Muslims, um, different cultures with the Haitians, Chinese, right? They believe in sun, moon, earth, um, and who's right? So I agree with what you're saying. Like if it was based on me and my belief, we're all going to hell. I believe in good deeds. I do believe, and I consider myself a Christian, but that's because what it was planted and what I believe. But I don't follow men. I follow. So definitely, this is a good topic to bring in and talk about. It is a topic that not many people speak about. I feel like they have it in taboo with convenience reason, but happy to share with people because they have reached out to talk about it, and I would love to speak, us for us to speak about it in these. So we have 2 more minutes. Is there anything else that you want to share? I'm just like, thank you so much for being part of this space today.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I did text you my link for the Networking Breakthrough Academy. So anyone here is ready to build their network through their network. I strongly invite you to go into that link, apply for the scholarship. Someone will get back to you within hours. The class starts Monday. Take advantage of it. Okay. That and second is anybody, of course, looking for me, especially women. Currently, right now, I do have the gratitude journaling meditation going on. So if anybody wants to go and to that, I'll send you the link for that too via text. It's through the month of February, the gratitude journaling meditation. We meet 6 a.m. Um, Eastern time, and I'm actually writing that down. Gratitude journaling meditation, 21-day gratitude journaling meditation. It's through, and the theme just so happens to be self-love. And overall, just for everybody, seek, the scripture just came. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. And the way that literally just came to me right now. Seek ye the kingdom of God. And the kingdom of God that it's right here. Just go to your heart center space and you'll find all that you need right there. And start with gratitude journaling with that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Elba. Um, I appreciate you. This is going to stay on my Facebook and soon will be uploaded to my YouTube. So once I have it, the hope is you guys can subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. Um,
Awesome.
thank you so much. Thank you, everybody that joined us. And I'm looking forward for more.
Yes. And thank you. Thank
Chaito,
you,
bye.
Priscilla. Bye bye.